Hello, everyone. For my sponge activity, it was a little hard to decide on which one I wanted to do since there's so many ideas. But I went with one that is called Pregunta, Pregunta, pasa, meaning ask, ask, and pass. On this activity, students are walking around and speaking with their classmates. They're given pre-written questions, one per student. Then they walk around and find a partner, depending on the class, the amount of students. Sometimes I, assign the partners that they're going to start with. Sometimes I just tell them, find a partner. With this activity, they're going to be exchanging partners. So they ask each other their own question. For example, student A asks student B the question, student B answers, then student B asks the question to student A, and then they exchange the questions. And they have to go and find another partner to ask that new question that they receive. What I like of this activity is that they get the opportunity to repeat, constantly the questions, the one that they've been asked, the one that they ask. So it works a lot. What do you need? Okay, you need a set with questions. And is that all? Yes. So we need to find questions. I would have at least one per student, but I highly suggest that you have at least 100 questions that you can put all in one container that you have in a designated area in the classroom. That way, the students are not getting the same questions over and over again. Pretty much you can grab, a handful, distribute them to the students and tell them to go and find a partner. This idea was mentioned in one blog that I put the link on the handout, and the credit was given to Zachary Jones, which he has a lot of resources on his blog as well. I thought this was a very good activity to use whenever you have 5 minutes, in here and there. Also, if you want to get them moving because you had an activity where they were sitting down for a long period of time, you can set the timer and say this is only going to be 5 minutes, and they keep on switching partners until the timer goes off. So you as a teacher decide how do you want to use this activity. I would highly suggest that you laminate the questions. That way they can last longer and you can have them for the following year. So what are my students practicing with this sponge activity? Well, of course, they're practicing questioning and answering. They also, it's very useful to clarify ideas. Every time I do a partner activity with my students, I tell them, one of the goals for this activity is for you to practice to speak in the target language, but also so that you can help each other. So if you notice that your classmate is not answering correctly or he doesn't know what the question means, then they can help each other and clarify their ideas. As well, they can practice fluency, having the language come a little more naturally. And this activity is good because they're repeating a lot of the questions, and sometimes they might even have to be asked the same question. So that helps with fluency. How can you implement a follow-up activity from this? Okay, you can practice it all and add the new questions. So this can be an activity where you say, okay, what do we remember for these questions? Or how do we form questions? And then you can add new concepts. In the target language, for every single concept, you pretty much use questioning and answering. I think that's a key concept to teach them at the lower level, since then they're getting more complex on their questions. But if they know how to ask, questions and how to answer them, they're already they have a really good foundation. This can also be an excellent review activity. Well, like I mentioned before, it was, it's a very quick, it doesn't require a lot of planning sponge activity. So it certainly take advantage of this. This week I'm on the spring break, but I'm going to try this sponge activity with my students next week. And I might follow up with some comments and show you how it works. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much for listening. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask.